Hi, welcome to today's episode of Let's Talk. I am so excited to have with me my own big brother in the person of Mr. Kofi Asamoah Osei, the Chief Operating Officer of Kwasi Oppong Senior High School. He is also a father and a husband and really interested in pushing education here in Ghana. On this note, join me, let's make welcome Mr. Osei. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great to have you.
Oh, good to have you too.
Okay, so we are going to talk about how we can best support the next generation of scientists here in Ghana.
So the first achievement is to become a successful education, you need a facility. I think we've been blessed with numerous facilities where we can host different students, do different courses, have the comfort for the students where the classes are not too packed. We also acquire the best teachers to give them the best training. We have examiners around. We've hired the best masters. We've put in place the best equipment in terms of the ICT lab is fully equipped. Our library is fully equipped. Boarding facilities are fully equipped and fully furnished. So these are the things we put in place where it makes the students comfortable to study. You cannot study and learn in an uncomfortable environment. So we think the first thing we put in place where it's benefited the students is the environment. We make sure it's very conducive, noise-proof. The students have time to learn. They are right on campus where they don't have to travel far. The library is always open. The ICT labs are always open. So these are the things we put in place where we think it will help succeed these students in the long term.
Great. So to best equip the next generation of scientists here in Ghana, I believe that the first place to start from is knowing the needs of the students. What are some of the needs you have observed?
I think the first thing the students will need to become successful scientists, is to have the good foundation. Currently, the Ghanaian education system, I wouldn't say is not the best to support scientists, but the way it's structured and the way our education system is, you don't normally get a lot of scientists coming from this part of the world. Looking at the way education system is set up, so once again. So we think once the education system is set up to train them from the grassroots, it will help tune their mind, because you cannot be in secondary school and decide to be a scientist. Most of these scientists start from the infancy. They will start from the basic education side of it, where they will be enhanced with whatever science they want to do. They'll be equipped. I think the education system needs a lot of equipment as well. The science in Ghana here, I wouldn't say it's not functioning, but it's hardly functioning. The only science that people see or acknowledge is doctors. So all the other science, we don't have to pay attention to. So unless the government or the education system elaborates more and educate the kids more on the different type of science they can study, I think that is where we should start. Educating the kids from infant, training their mind to be scientists. Because if you don't train them from the infant, it will be difficult for them to adjust.
Great. So while you were talking, I heard you talk about the government coming in and strengthening some parts of our education system and other individuals probably who can support in that cause. Would you say that part of obtaining this vision or having this vision come into reality, part of the responsibility lies on us? If yes, how can we hammer this?
I think so. The responsibility is a shared responsibility. The government must do their part. We, the education investors, must do our part. The parents must also do their part. Okay? So the first thing is the government doing its part by putting the right policies in place, putting the right infrastructures in place, making sure we, the investors, are investing wisely, making sure there's standard in the system. So the government has a lot to play in these educational structures. I went to school in America. When you look at the American educational system, you can sign a word up for computer class at the age of 3 years old. Your child will be doing his own game, programming. We don't have that here. So imagine somebody born in America, somebody born in Ghana, and they all want to become computer engineers. Who has the advantage? Somebody who is learning at 3 years old, or somebody who is learning from the university level? Definitely the child who is learning at 3 years old has more experience. They'll be able to create more. They'll be able to have more knowledge. They are well equipped. We are not equipped. So these things, I think the government policies are first. I think that we, the investors, must also invest wisely, invest in equipment for the kids. We must make sure the kids are comfortable in a comfortable studying environment, making sure that they are safe, making sure the things they need are provided for, and also the parents has a role to play as well. It is the parents' job to in-tune their kids' mind and to guide them in setting up whatever they want to become in future. So to become a scientist in the future for the Ghanaian youth, I think there's potential. You can see the Ghanaian kids like to do things with their hands, but we need more training. We need more facilities. We need government policies where these kids can start at an early age, where they'll be able to do a lot of things while they are, because if you look at, I have a friend who is a computer engineer, okay? This kid is making so much money in America, okay? When you look at the background of this kid that I'm talking about, he started the computer, he developed his first app at the age of 7.
Wow.
Kids app at the age of 7. Now he's working for Google. So imagine this kid, from the age of 7, he's been trained, he has the equipment, he has the facilities, policies are there to support him, you see. So it's just, once the kid is determined, the system are there to support that child. But the same kid here in Ghana doesn't have that. I don't even think the Ghana education system has computer labs across Ghana where students can go in and study or use these facilities. Some schools will tell you we have ICT labs, but it's on the blackboard, which doesn't make any sense. How can you do ICT on a blackboard? ICT is a practical experiment, So I think first of all, government policies must be changed. Government must understand that if we want to raise the next generation of scientists, we must in-tune their mind to be scientists from the infancy. We must guide them from the infant. We must support them. Parents must also do the same thing. So I think for scientists to come out of Ghana, policies must be changed. Parents must be fully involved. Investors must be willing to invest in this structures and these kids and these programs where they know in the long term will benefit us or them or the country or anywhere else.
Wow, thank you so much for all the wonderful points you shared. I have observed a gap, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, that as a country, we tend to rely so much on the government and forget what other entrepreneurs are doing. So even when we come to the educational system, we have a lot of public schools. And sometimes we tend to also forget what the private schools are doing to support our students. In other countries, I have observed that the systems are running primarily from the inputs that the entrepreneurs are giving into the country, increasing employment and creating education. Most of the Ivy League schools in the US are private.
Yeah.
So I believe it could be a shared responsibility to not only be to the government, but as the chief operating officer of Kwasi Oppong Senior High School, which is a private institution, what would you say have you experienced any challenge in this area, and how can we push forward?
We have. The education system, once in Ghana here, the education system is run by the government. They determine how many years we go to school, and it changes from government to government.
Wow.
See, we don't have a long-term agenda where, in the US, the education system is set. You start from class 1 to grade 12, you go to university if it's a choice. You can choose to go to university if you want. But here in Ghana, the education system changes. Government A will come and they will say, okay, this year we are going from class 1 to 10. There's no 11 to 12. You can go to university from class 1 to 10. The next government will come, they'll say, no, we'll scratch that policy. You can go from 1 to 12. The next government will come, they'll say, no, even from 12, we don't want 12, we want 11. So government policies are really affecting us. Even though every economy is based on the private sector. Every economy in this world is based off the private sector. But it's vice versa here in Ghana. All the economy, everything is based on government policies. So if whenever the government changes and you don't adapt to the government change, that means that's it. So we are facing a lot of problems with government policies that are not long-term policies, they are short-term policies. As a private investor in the education system, short-term policies does not help us grow a long-term vision. For example, we have a 10-year policy where we wanted to do the senior secondary and then jump to the basic side of it. Looking at the way government policies has changed the way the education system is, currently, I don't have the statistics in my head, but I'll probably say in the Ashanti region, more than 70% of private senior high schools has collapsed due to government policies. It is only a few private secondary schools that are still in existence as we speak now. Because the government has enrolled the free educational policy, which is a great policy. I believe in the free educational system. Even I took advantage of the free educational system in the US. So affordable and free education system is good for the nation. I agree with that. But there must be a cutoff point where we, the private side of it, can also benefit from our investment. Because as an investor, private investor, if I'm not benefiting from the investment I'm doing, then it's not worth investing in it. So we are pleading with the government to change some of the policies they have adopted, which is actually collapsing the private side of this education system. But you see, we are in the part where politics rule everything. Politics rule everything. Politics determines what we do, how we sleep, what we eat, what we drive. You know, politics determine our day-to-day affairs. So politics is really affecting our education system because we don't have a long-term policy. It's all about short-term policies. Every government has its own policy. The policy that is being introduced will take a long time for the students to catch on. By the time we've adjusted to it, it will change again. So meaning every time there's a new government, we, the private sector in the education system, face a lot of issues. We're also pleading with the government to assist us in some ways that they could. As an investor in any country, you need the support of the government to be successful.
Yeah.
But the government has left us astray, and then we are struggling to maintain. But the focus of our CEO is not to make money. The focus of our CEO is to raise the next generation kids who can become scientists, who can become engineers, who can contribute positively in the economy of Ghana or globally. So private sector, we are facing a lot of challenges. But I think, you know, with challenges comes great ways to be innovative. So we, Kwasi Oppong, we are doing so many innovative things that's sustaining our school. As I said, a lot of schools are no more in existence when we talk about the senior secondary side of it, but we've been blessed to be sustained currently.
So let's look at the way forward to better equip the next generation of STEM and scientists here in Ghana. One thing that I always say is that we can put out the complaints that we need to put out, but without including or adding the solutions, then it's just a passing that we have done.
Definitely.
And so how, moving forward, what systems can we put in place to support the next generation of STEM students here in Ghana?
The first thing we must put in place is policies. See, policies guide us. Policies are there to control. Policies are there to measure. Policies are there to, you know, to make sure there's a standard. Once there's policies in place where the government has a long-term policy, we know this is where we are taking our education in the next 50 years, in the next 30 years, where the government is investing in STEM education. Currently, it is the government's focus, but the government has not implemented it. Why the government has not implemented it, I'm not 100% sure. Looking at the way this education minister is really hammering on STEM education, still Ghanaians are not seeing any change in the education system, from the basic to the senior secondary to the university level. I think nowadays the universities are doing a better job adding the STEM education. But I feel like if the child is beginning the STEM education at the university level, then it might be too late. How many kids can be too brilliant to start engineering from the university level? Only a handful. But if we are training them from the basic side, where we are introducing the STEM education in the basic side, where they start from a younger age, you know, I think it will best help them in the university level, or best help them in life in general. So policy is number one. Government must have a long-term policy, 30-year policy, 50-year policy. The 4-year policies, every government comes and edits and alter. It's not really helping the education system. So the first thing we need is a long-term policy, where the government is really hammering on STEM education, investing in STEM education, so that we, the private investors, can also invest in the same thing. Because we are guided by the Ghana education system. Okay. If the Ghana education system does not allow us to do certain things, we can't do it. Okay? But most of the time, the Ghana education system has the policies in place, but we don't implement it. Not implementing a policy is just like not having a policy.
Yes.
Okay? So we are pleading with the government to implement the STEM education policy from infant, where parents and children can know the benefit of it. Because as a young, I know my mom. My mom always thinks the best job in Ghana here is a doctor.
Okay.
My mother.
Yes.
She thinks, well, when I become a doctor, become a doctor, become a doctor. It's in mind.
Yes.
But we don't know there are other, you know, science programs out there that are as important as being a doctor.
Yes.
You know, the computer engineering, it's a science program. The, you know, food scientists, as we learned today.
Yeah.
There are, you know, a lot of things that you can learn, you can become a doctor at, and still contribute positively to the economy or to the society. So I think our mentality needs to change from our parents' side, our mentality to change from the government side, and we, the students, must also change our mentality. I think the Ghana education system has made it so in such a way that we don't value STEM education. The reason why I'm saying that is you can't boast and brag to your friends that I'm studying mechanic engineering in school. They think you are a fitter person.
Yes.
You see our concept?
Yes.
So sometimes our mindset as well. So government policy is key. Changing our mindset is also key. Having parents who understand the STEM education to guide us into the STEM education is also very key. So I think it's an approach where all Ghanaians must change our mind. As the government do policies, we must implement it. As we implement it, parents must be support us as well. And I think these are the three key structures that currently is not available here. So it makes it difficult to start the STEM education. STEM education is very expensive. Equipment are expensive. So if you don't have an investor who is willing to invest in these equipment, then there's no point in doing STEM. Because I remember we took a trip to some school in Volta region where we took a trip to the ICT lab. When we went to the ICT lab, there was one laptop, one projector, and chalkboard. And on the chalkboard is where they are doing the ICT. So imagine kids learning coding on the blackboard, or learning hardware installation on the blackboard, or learning networking on the blackboard, or learning how to type on the blackboard, not a keyboard, on the blackboard.
Wow.
It's a big problem for these kids. In some way, the kids will not be interested in doing these STEM education if there's not equipment. So we are pleading with the government to put policies in place first, make sure the schools are well equipped, make sure parents understand what STEM educations are, make sure students are also interested in doing the STEM educations. So I think these are the things where we can improve upon, where we'll definitely improve our science and our STEM education and create the next scientists in Ghana.
Wow. I completely agree with you with all that you have said. And you do mention the government, and I completely agree with you that the government has a huge role to play in this. Are there other bodies or individuals, not to mention names, but are there other people that can also come on board to achieve this dream?
There are a handful of associations that represent our education system. But it all circles back to the government.
Okay.
Because here we live in a world where the government controls everything.
Wow.
I'm a member of CHOPS. CHOPS is the Senior Secondary Schools Association.
Okay.
I'm a member of CHAS, where Private School Association. Even our leaders have been influenced by the government. I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. We will take our problems to the association. They will take it to the government. We will start to make noise. The government will start to do something, and then you see the government fall back because our leaders has been, I don't want to say corrupted, but they've changed their mind all of a sudden. So government influence is what is killing the education here in Ghana. I think government needs to, as I said, I'll keep saying this over and over again because I think this is the only policy that will change the education system. The government needs to have a long-term policy in the education system where governments will not interfere with the education system, where they will leave the education ministry to run on its own, where we, the private sector, the investor, we, the parents, the students will be interested in doing these courses. So government policies are what is killing us the most. There are a lot of associations who will start making noise, and then a few months later, you see our leaders have a change of mind. You don't know what would happen. And if your leaders who are supposed to be representing you does not support what you are saying, then it's difficult to fight it. So we think government policies is a key. Long-term government policies are key. Making sure the education ministry is not affected by politicians, and the education ministry is running on its own, where it's not being influenced from here and there. These are the things the government must put in place first. If those things are not put in place, it doesn't matter who comes in, which investor comes in, what engineers we have here, they'll all flee.
I see.
They'll leave. The reason why we have so many of the youth leaving Ghana is because of government policies. It's not benefiting us, the youth.
Wow.
The policies here does not give us hope. I'm sorry to say, but policies here does not give us hope. So any small opportunity that we can get to flee the country, we'll go, because we know it's better out there. If you want to become an engineer, it's easier out there. If you want to become, let's say, architecture, it's easier out there than it is here. I know a friend who went to K University, who got a business admission, but the child wanted to do science because they did science, but because the only available slot was in the business, they put a science student in the business field, in the university level.
Wow.
Policy, government policies. The child did science in the senior high school level. Because of, let's say, lack of infrastructure or whatever it is, they got to the university level, and the course has totally changed because they don't have vacancy. Policy. So look at a kid who wants to do science. Now they're in the university, and the government is saying, no, we don't have enough space for science students, so you go and do business. These are the things we Ghanaians should hold our politicians and our government accountable to make sure our education system is on good level, where the foundations are strong for the kids, because we have kids in the senior secondary here. Most at the age group is about from 16 to 23. You can have somebody in the form 3, which is grade 12, not able to write their name. It's happening.
Wow. Currently,
I have students here who find it difficult to write their name.
Wow.
And they're in the senior secondary, they've passed through all the levels of education without knowing how to write their name. How is that possible? So how can this kid become a scientist? I'm sorry to say, even miracles will not change this kid to become a scientist. I'm sorry. You get my points. So there are things we must put in place first. And these things, if they will be put in place, it's the government who is going to implement and put them in place. So that's the reason why I keep saying government, 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 government. You know, I went to America when I was at the age of 12. I was there my whole life. I went to the university there. I went to George Mason. I got a degree in computer networking. Actually, I found that computer networking is part of STEM. So yeah, part of the STEM education system.
Right.
So, and within that period of time that I was in America, I've never had any educational policy being changed. They've added on to make it better. They've added the STEM. I told you I went to America this year, and I visited, I took one of my cousins to school, so I was dropping them off at school, and then I visited my old school, and then I saw the expansion they are doing. They've added a mechanic to the school. We didn't have a mechanic when we were in school at that time, but now they have mechanics in school. In the senior secondary, they are learning how to become mechanics now. Wow. So when they reach the university level, they can advance, you see. So these interests must be in tune or implemented in the kid at a young age. You must train the kids. Yes, being a mechanic is not a bad thing. No, you can make a lot of money.
Yes.
You see, train them, guide them, implant it in their head. But here they think if you become only a doctor, if you become a professor, these are the only two professions here in Ghana. We are teacher class, sorry to say, you get it? But policies must be implemented. Policies must be a long-term policy in terms of education. Education doesn't have shortcuts. You can't do shortcuts in education. You can't say yeah, I feel they may taught textbooks among Kolan, so may pass next year and sorry. Meanwhile, they didn't have a good foundation in 1 and 2. To my do 3 now, saying now taught textbooks just to pass the exams. So what if they get to the university level?
Yeah.
So better textbooks and also better pass to pass the exam. What if they get to the professional level? Who's going to help them cheat the system? It's not there.
Yeah.
So the education system must take the cheating out of their system, where the kids, it's infused in their mind, say, yeah, they do exams on they are pass. Yes, no, yes, you are passing. These are the things that's affecting our education system. It's not giving us a better future at all. Actually, it's making our kids very lazy at studying. Nowadays, the kids are very lazy to study. I remember I was in 9th grade in English. I remember we used to read a book every week.
Wow, yeah.
In my English class, we read a book every week. And every weekend, you write a current event. You go through a newspaper, you cut the article out, and then you summarize it. You did this every week.
Yes.
See, these are the things we should be doing to train the next generation of kids. But instead, we are not. We are putting it in their head that once it's exams time, oh, they don't worry, we anyway, the government is going to help you pass, because politics, they don't care about the kids' future. They only want to see the pass rate of the kids.
Wow.
That is the problem with our education system. The future of the kids is not as important to the ministry. The most important thing to the ministry is the kids are past the BEC and they are past the WASI. That's about it. Once you pass your WASI with all A's and you go to the university crown and you flop out, they don't care. Which at the end of the day,
it doesn't help.
It's not helping at all. So government policies, implementation, long-term policies, getting everybody involved, parents, students, teachers, family and friends, everybody should be involved in changing the mindset of our politicians, where they shouldn't be playing with our education. They should make sure our education is fit. Our education is for the long term. Our education is not compromised by any politician. Our education does not favor some others and not others. We are all Ghanaians, but kids in the private sector are treated different from the government sector. The government gives us free handouts. We give our books, textbooks, notebooks, equipment. So the kids in the private sector, if the investor is not willing to invest in these kids, that means you have lost out of it. You get my point? Yeah. But when we talk about free and fair education system, it should go across board. It doesn't matter if you're in the government side or in your private side. They should all be equipped equally. They should all have the same facility. They should all enjoy the same things. From the private or the government side should all benefit from the same thing to make the competition fair. But it's not like that here. We face a lot of issues. We are hoping for the best. We hope policies in the long term will transform Ghana's education. But currently, as we speak now, it's difficult to raise the next generation of scientists with the foundation we have now. The foundation must be changed. The foundation must tune the kid's mind that anything can be possible. You don't have to be a doctor to be successful here in Ghana. The woman, you don't have to be only a nurse to be successful here in Ghana. It seems like all my student girls, they all want to become nurses, which I don't fully understand why. Yes. If you have money, you'll be able to be a nurse.
Yes.
So,
yes, who would be operating the data that comes in?
So it's about tuning our minds as well.
Wow, remarkable. And I can really hear the passion with which you speak about this issue. Yeah. So there must be a change.
Yes.
And we all acknowledge that. To our viewers, thanks for joining us on today's episode of Let's Talk. We hope you enjoyed and learned a lot. Until our next episode,
let's enjoy science together. I remain your host, Emelia. Thank you.